Good afternoon, dear teachers, parents, and students. Today, I would like to talk about an important question. Can biofuels totally replace fossil fuels? Fossil fuels such as natural gas and coal are the main resources in our daily life. They power our cars, heat our home, and generate electricity. So the modern society is heavily dependent on these kind of resources. However, the issue is that these kind of resources could produce a huge amount of carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide. For this reason, scientists are trying to develop new resources, which are biofuels. So first, what are biofuels? Biofuels are liquid or gaseous-state fuel derived from crops and waste, primarily used in the transportation sector. One specific example of biofuel is ethanol. And this kind of energy is renewable, which means that we could produce more of them in the future. Also, biofuels are considered as low carbon because plants, which is the material from biofuels, can absorb carbon dioxide while growing up, although the production still occurs carbon emissions. Currently, Formula One has made a significant step in transitioning to biofuels. Starting from 2030, all cars will use biofuels, especially ethanol, to achieve the goal of net zero, and this will reduce the 26% of the carbon footprints. And net zero means that the carbon dioxide we emitted into the atmosphere will be equivalent to the same amount of carbon dioxide we removed from the atmosphere. So, will it be that easy for us to switch to biofuels? First, I will examine the land use constraints. Large-scale biofuel production requires a huge amount of agricultural land, which could create conflict with the food production. As the demand of energy increases, more land will be used to grow the crops for the fields. And this will lead to higher food price and food safety issues. Besides, indigenous plants may be devastated, which was originally reducing the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. As a result, reducing the carbon emissions by using biofuels will be very difficult without causing some economical or environmental issues. Second, I will consider the availability of biofuels in specific sectors such as aviation and shipping. In these sectors, the energy are considered as high energy density fuels. Because, for example, a Boeing 777 that can carry 350 passengers traveling from London to New York requires at least 60 tons of fuel. During the 7 hours flight, averagely 7 to 8 tons of fuel will be burned. The issue right now is that the current battery technology isn't suitable for us to maintain that length. Then, biofuels seems to be a desirable alternative since we could use this kind of technology with existing infrastructure and engines with relatively minor modifications. Also, the sustainable biofuels can reduce carbon emissions compared to the conventional jet fuels. However, there are still many limitations. The scaling up the production of the biofuels is very costly and the supply is quite limited. Therefore, biofuels seem to be a desirable substitute, but at the moment, it is still very difficult. To sum up, the question of whether biofuels could totally replace fossil fuels is not a simple yes or no question. Biofuels can indeed reduce carbon emissions, but the effectiveness depends heavily on the availability of resources and the use of the sectors. Thank you.